Oh, well, Miss Jess, you're going to go first. Let me just see. I just want to quickly see who's on here. Libby's coming. Hang on. Someone else is joining. If Ebony, nah, cool. All good. All right, Jess, let's have a chat, babe. I'll unmute. Hey, Nicole. Oh, your audio's not there yet, but hi, good to see you. And Casey, I'm sorry. I think I realized as I was talking to Adele that you unmuted, and then I fucking took a conversation elsewhere. So, anyway, good to see you, babe. It's been a while. Hello, Miss Jess.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Thanks. How are you?
Yes, you're only all right. You've been feeling a bit exhausted.
Oh, long day.
Yeah,
Tina's
long day.
just pushing, pushing, and pushing,
Yeah, yeah.
which is totally probably me. I know it. I don't like following rules. I don't like boundaries, but hey,
It's not
I'm
fun, babe. You're coming to the retreat. Like some of those things about you, you'll find a lot more peace in your life when you stop fighting yourself or stop fighting whatever it is that goes on for you sometimes. And it might not, by the way. I'm not saying it's always it's always like that. But if there's anything that needs to be cleared, you're all ready for the right space. So, Ebony just joined. Cool. Eb, I literally just started because I wasn't sure if you're coming. So I'm going to finish Jess. I'll come straight to you. Okay. All right. Ebony's getting priority tonight because she absolutely needs to go and rest herself. But Jess, yours is I said to you, I love these spirited, strong-willed children, right? So your question, just for anyone watching the replay, is your 6-year-old daughter is basically just being extremely defiant. She's back chatting and, pushing the boundaries. And when you ask her to do something, she just won't listen, or she'll say, but I asked you to do X, Y, Z. And, give her credit, it's pretty smart, right? Fair's fair, right? People are people. And,
too fucking smart.
and in a child's world, I mean, look, we all really should belong more to a child's world. I think children's world works better than most adults' world in that, people are people and there is no such thing as a parent or a child. There's just two people, right? Now, what I wanted to say to you is this. The reason I love answering these questions and I love these strong-spirited children is because you're always a nice filter change, Libby says. A spirited child is a natural born leader. You are raising a leader, okay? And I'm going to give you the same advice I've been giving ever since I've been working in this space. Anytime anyone with any child like yours has come here, you hear me in a million different replays say the same thing. And that is, welcome to life with a leader. And what that is going to look like for you, the whole of your life, is constant negotiation. A leader has to lead. They can't follow. They don't like to be told what to do. It literally is against their very nature. Natural born leaders they know why they are here, and you don't want to crush their spirit, right? Now, it's a lot harder there's two different things. If you aren't a natural born leader yourself, a born leader will trigger you because you'll feel controlled. And if you are a natural born leader yourself, a leader child will trigger the shit out of you because you'll want to control as much as they want to control. Okay. So no matter what kind of parent you are, they're going to be calling you into your shit big time. Okay. Now, once you learn, and the learning is yours, it's not the child's. And I know you're awesome at, let me give it to you straight and just taking a whole dose of the truth without, putting cotton wool around it. When you learn how to relate to your leader child, you'll have the most incredible, strong relationship, and you will create an environment where they can grow into their gifts and where you can you can put boundaries on them without putting restrictions on them. If you don't learn to do this, like ASAP, good thing that your daughter's 6, but by the time they get to 8, your leader has decided whether or not they like you, whether or not they think you are even credible to listen to, and that becomes the foundation of your relationship for the rest of your life. And it does get harder to change after 8 years old. Okay. 8 is where we kind of come into knowing ourselves, right? This is why when you do childhood trauma work, pretty much all of anyone's trauma that has ever played out in their life always is linked back to something that happened before 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a soul level, astral body level, at a subconscious mind level, at an intellect neocortex level, there's a big shift around 8, okay? On every level, physical, mental, spiritual, the whole thing, okay? So you've got a perfect window of opportunity. What you do with her, she needs to feel like she's in control. And how you win, how you get your win, is by getting the result you want in a way that allows her to think that she got what she wanted. That's how you win. Okay. And you don't want to have the mindset of, yeah, but she can't learn that she gets to win at everything in life. You got to learn that sometimes you can't win. Let life teach her that. That's not your responsibility. This is where I say to parents, trust your children with their own life and trust life to teach them more than you ever will, right? Like, they're not ours. They don't belong to us. They're not a possession that we own. They're not something that we get to craft and mold. And anytime we try to do that, all we do is ruin them. So it's amazing to have a leader. And, you know, as I think as parents, most of us would probably fantasize before having children over, I want to have a child that knows what they want in life, can go after their dreams, that won't take no for an answer, that takes opportunities, that's got confidence to go out and be themselves in the world. They're just really fucking inconvenient to raise as children, right? Like, it's good. I want that kind of teenager. I want that kind of adult, but sucks to be the parent who has to deal with that child, you know, until they get there, right? Does this make sense so far to you?
Yeah.
100% she has leadership skills. So
yeah,
everything.
She likes to lead everything.
Yes. And that's where
even role playing, she's the teacher, she's the mum, she's the
I can tell. I could tell just in your first sentence. I'm like, this is an easy one to answer. Okay. So if you feel like you need lots of like constant little seeding of your own mind, you could go type in the group, in the search bar, leadership, and any replay that has a hashtag of leadership. If you look at, you know, which topic was it, the second person I talked to or the fifth person I talked to, you can fast forward and find it. Anytime you feel like you need something, like, and you want an answer right now and you don't want to have to wait till Tuesday, I've covered this from so many angles, on so many ages, so many times, if like, just to help you learn to grow into this space as fast as you can, okay? Because it is inconvenient. I get it. Now, understand this. Life with a leader means constant negotiation. And I want you to use language with her, compromise and negotiation. And I want you to like reward her for that. I want you to praise her for that. Like, if ever she gets, I don't know, some kind of reward, like, so in the program, I'm just trying to think what, someone feel free to help me out here, because some of you probably, it's so long since I recorded the program and I forget exactly where, but in the program, there is a video called Do you want to win at arguing or do you want to win at parenting? It's in the third pillar, but I can't remember exactly what order it's in. It's in the third pillar, right? I think it was in the second pillar. Has anyone watched this recently? Anyway, check the conscious discipline pillar or the conflict and communication. I think it's in the third pillar, but it's like, do you want to win at arguing or do you want to win at parenting? That video will be like, I think it's like a 4-minute video or 6-minute video. It's not even long. And that video will be like the biggest thing you ever learn for her. Okay. So it's about how you always reward the attribute when she won't take no for an answer, when she's nagging you, when she's making a good point. Well, I asked you to do X, Y, Z. Well, I asked you to do this for me yesterday and you didn't do it. So why should I? Good point, right? And what you always want to do is acknowledge in the conflict pillar. Okay, yeah, it's in the third pillar. Thanks, Sarah. You're the best. So I feel like you know my program better than I do. You want to always reward the attribute, the character trait she's showing, and then correct the behavior if you need, okay? And that video gives you lots of examples, okay? But it's things like, I love how you don't give up on something you want. And even though it feels a bit frustrating for me that you're asking me the same thing 20 times, here's the deal. My answer's not going to change, but I love that you won't ever give up on something you want. You're welcome to ask me a million times if you want. I'm telling you now, my answer won't change, but I'm happy to manage my own emotions around how many times you ask, because you're always, always ask. Like you want to teach a leader because it's naturally inbuilt in them. I don't care if you ask for a pay rise and your boss says no. Ask again and ask again and ask again and ask again and ask again. And if you believe that's what you're worth, don't you stop asking for that pay rise. But if we want them to, or if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a great business idea and you need the bank to loan you $50,000 to launch your idea, apply for the loan, and when they say no, apply again and go and ask this person and go and ask, and do not give up on that. But that principle is the same as them nagging the shit out of you for something they want that you say no to. And if we shut that down here, the principle transfers over there. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, she's a natural born leader. She needs to feel like she's in control. The way that you win is by finding a way to let her feel like she got the win. And that doesn't mean that you can't ever go through a time where she doesn't win and you just lay down and give her everything she wants. It's not even about her getting what she wants. So if you can keep that filter away from your perspectives, it's not like, oh yeah, but then she'll become a spoiled little brat and she'll think that life just, gets handed to her on a silver platter. That's not true. But use words like negotiate. I love the way you've negotiated, but I'll tell you what, let's negotiate, okay? I want you to have a bath so that you're ready for bed. And what I'm hearing you say is that you want to play with your toys for another 10 minutes. So let's negotiate. Teach her what compromise is all the time. Let's negotiate. How about this? Instead of having 10 minutes to play, you don't get what you want and I don't get what I want. I want you in the shower now and you want to play for 10 more minutes. Let's compromise and meet in the middle. Let's say, okay, you don't have to have a shower now, but you've only got 5 minutes. And then you always do, is that a deal? Is this an agreement? Is this our agreement?
She has that line, is that a deal, all the time, Marie? Is that a deal?
Perfect. And then what you do, so with a leader, leaders are very deeply driven by integrity. So whenever she has given you her word and then she's going back on it, or then you call her in 5 minutes and she's, ignores you or whatever, then you tell, what's her name again? I'm sorry?
Matilda.
Then you say, Matilda, we made an agreement. And you are a natural leader. And when leaders make agreements, they honor their word. You need to be in your integrity right now. You gave me your word on something. I'm asking you to honor your word, because that's what leaders do. All her life, seed her mind that tell her she's a leader. This is what leaders do. I love the courage you showed. You know what? I was about to say to you, stop back chatting. But you know what I realized? You're actually not back chatting. You've just got some boundaries that you're telling me about, and you're actually standing up and having a voice for what you believe. So I'm sorry for telling you that was back chat. You know what? What you were saying was a really good point. The way you said it, I'm not happy with. What I'd really like you to do is correct yourself and speak to me differently, because I believe there's a better way for you to say that than saying it angry like you just did. But you know what? You made a good point. And you're right. And you know what? I'm actually wrong. So how about this? I apologize for being wrong. You make your correction on being able to, let's start again, say it again, and this time say it nicely. I will be open to listening to you, and you honor who you really are, and you say it with respect. So all of your life, you're never telling her what you tell her what to do, and you will get absolute, you'll end up in a train wreck in your life, in your relationship one day, and you'll just get headbutt. Okay. There needs to always be compromise. And if you ever need to get power back from her, like if all of a sudden she's taken it and you're like, fuck, I just realized I even stuffed up or whatever, and this is the leadership thing. And the way you'll get power back is, you know what? You take responsibility first. So, because what you need to embody for her to be an authentic leader, because there's leadership via influence and there's leadership via control. Okay. Leadership via influence is, all the good leaders of the world, right? Like the Martin Luther Kings and, whatever, right? The JFKs and whatever, right? Hitler was an effective leader. He was effective as a leader. He was notorious, effective. He got a whole country following and believing what he wanted them to believe. He enrolled them all on his vision, and he cast that vision so strongly, the entire country turned against the Jews and fucking hailed Hitler and whatever else. Okay. But one was leadership by control and one was leadership via influence. Both effective, both achieved what their goals were in two different ways. Okay. And if you don't become an example and be very conscious on creating a space for her to learn how to be an effective, authentic leader by influence, if she can't lead in that space, she will have no option but to find her leadership and to channel her leadership energy into leading by control. And they become narcissists. Make sense?
Yeah.
So everything is negotiation, okay? And the biggest thing you want to teach her is how to take personal responsibility, how to apologize, how to own your shit when you're wrong, how to put your hand up and go, hey, I could have done that better. And the only way you can teach that is to be an example of that. You can't lead by control and expect her to lead by influence. You lead by influence, which means you lead by example. Even in the moments where you're like, I can't believe I'm fucking apologizing to a 6-year-old that just won't go to bed. Okay?
Yeah.
You with me? Yeah, those bloody Germans again. Hey, Marlon. Marlon's a German. Makes sense? Yeah, you with me?
Yep.
So go and watch. Do you want to win at arguing or do you want to win at parenting? And also with the back chat thing, I want you to urgently watch my back chat video. It's not in the program. Down the bottom of the program, the last thing is there's a folder or whatever that says video archives, I think is what it's called. Click on that, and in there's just like all these random videos that I used to put out on Facebook all the time, like publicly. And so I just collated them and put them all in there for you guys so they're easy to find. And in there's one that says like a new perspective on back chatting. Watch that. I think it's 6 minutes. Watch that tonight. Okay. It'll help you with how to handle her when she back chats, because she's not back chatting. She's just saying, hey, you crossed my boundary too. Like, if you're allowed to have emotions, then so am I. I've got a good point to make. I disagree with what you're saying. And just because I disagree with you doesn't mean this is disrespect. That is such limited, outdated, like 2 generations ago style parenting. That if a child has an opinion, how dare they? Because instantly that's back chat, which means instantly you're disrespecting me. And it's not true. They're not disrespecting you. It's not even back chat. They're having a voice. And if you want her to grow up as a strong woman with a voice, she needs to be allowed to have a voice at home without being in trouble for that. Doesn't mean that she can't be taught some lessons around how to do it effectively, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah. She will sometimes like, Mummy, right, you don't talk. I need to explain something. And off she goes. Mm-hmm. She's funny.
Yeah. And don't let her boss you. Just say, hey, let's do that. Instead of like a boss, let's do it like a leader. So instead of telling me what to do, maybe let's negotiate here. So, Mum, I've got something I'd like to say, and I'd really like you to listen. Could I share it with you? And you ask me a question instead of telling me what to do. Mum, could I tell you one of my ideas? It's my choice if I listen or not. You ask me, I make a decision. That's an effective leader. Okay. The other person is a boss or a manager. So there's a very big difference between leaders and managers. Leaders care about people. Managers pretty much only ever care about profits. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Leaders lead by influence, and leaders lead by influence, and managers lead by control. So talk to her all the time, the different, like all these seeds, like for the next 4 years of her life, like just plant these seeds everywhere you get an opportunity. What's a leader? Go and search the hashtag leadership or leader in the group, and you'll see so much I've shared on this as well.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool. No worries, darling. Great question. Oh, Elle, that's a bit cute. Your son? He thinks I'm pretty. I don't even do makeup tonight. I'm just trying to look here. Sarah, you're so good. So it's 3.3 under conscious discipline, Jess. It's actually in the discipline pillar, the second pillar, but it's number 3 because the bloody welcome section is classed as number 1. So when I always forget that, guys, apologies. When I say third pillar, It means fourth section, because the welcome section, like the program that we use to collate it all, as soon as there's a folder, they call it section 1 type of thing. So when I say second pillar, that means third section in the program. Does that make sense? Yeah, because of the welcome thing. So yeah, so it's the second pillar, but it's the third section, 3.3. Martine just went and looked or whatever. Under conscious discipline. Yeah. Yeah. And then Sarah said, this is actually the best video. I showed it to my husband and it helped him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's having people have. My dad has a very different point of view, and we live with him to help him with his health. So it's fighting a battle on the side as well.
You make a decision around how you want to parent, and you let it be okay that your dad might be a bit uncomfortable with that sometimes, but for whatever the reasons are, if he's going to live in your house and you're going to help him as much as you do, you need to be okay that there can be a level of compromise. And it's like, hey, you can also have respect and keep it in mind, but at the end of the day, it's your child and this is how you choose to parent. He may not do exactly the same thing, and that's okay. You don't have to control your dad. But if he handles your son differently in a moment, you also have every right to say, Dad, I'll handle this, please. Thank you. I see your point. I'll handle it. And you can then tell Matilda, like, Poppy doesn't have to be the same. Okay. This is what we do in our family. Poppy's a bit different. He got born a long time ago, and how he got taught was very different. Okay. And this is how we do it. And it's okay for her to learn to be adaptable and to have some resilience, that different people treat me different ways. Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So now I'm going to go to Ebony, darling, because I want you to be able to hang up when you need and go get some sleep. But let me try to do this without fucking crying, babe. First of all, I'm just so fucking sorry. For those of you who don't know Ebony's story, not just like a month or two ago, she reached out to me basically saying that she was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and she had surgery recently, and she just got her results back today, or just told me today that, or told us all in the group that her results aren't good, that the cancer's in her lymph nodes and she needs to have chemo. So now she's like, what do I do? And how do I talk to my children about this? Firstly, babe, let's just pretend it's me and you here. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. You actually look fucking good. I didn't expect you to look how you do. Like, not meant to be a bad thing, but you look fucking
great. I put
some
makeup on today and washed my hair. And
oh, beautiful. And look at your little smile. First of all, how are you? Like, let's just, because even how I'm going to answer this, you've got to be on some level authentic and congruent at the level that your children can understand and that's appropriate for their age. And obviously you got a 5-year-old and 7-year-old. Is Penny 7?
Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then she has autism as well, right? So her brain works differently. Okay. So first of all, tell me how are you? Be real with me. Tell me where you're at and take it.
I think I'm okay. I just, like, my biggest fear is the outcome of all of this, obviously, and not being around for them. But I am pretty confident that it's going to be all right. Like, I'm just, that's what I have to.
Yeah. So I've worked with a few people, I think you know this, that have had cancer and had some pretty, like terminal diagnoses and things like that. And something that I've always taught, like one of my biggest mentors in my life, David Nomchong, he had leukemia and whatever, long story short, he ended up writing a book called Leukemia, A Minor Inconvenience. And he had all these failed, like all these things. Anyway, he had a motto. And I say this to everyone that's ever in your situation or with any kind of illness. His motto was, prepare to die and plan to live. Okay. Now what that means is, and he was like my biggest mentor I've ever had in like business, but also in myself, in like who I am and my soul work and all that. Right. And so he understood the damage that resistance and avoidance does. I want to give you permission here in this space to not have to be positive, to not have to be like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to fight this and I'm going to be. like you'll have those moments. And when you do, you fucking lean into them and you be so present in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also okay. And I work very closely with Bronwyn Painter, and I know you know her well. And she had breast cancer at 28 years old, was breastfeeding, had to stop breastfeeding, blah, 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 to be able to have her surgery. And, she shared a lot of her story with you many times when you've been in the same room as her at retreats and women's circles and whatever else. And she said the same thing, that it's the part that makes you feel the most lonely is when you do have the moments where in this moment it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay, and I can almost imagine dying, and I can almost see myself not being here, and that this is the end, the beginning of an end. And if you ever got to that point and you hadn't acknowledged this, then there's a lot of opportunities you've missed along the way to do things you'd want to do if it came to the fact that your soul chose to leave here, in some short years, all right? And so please don't dismiss that, like those moments where you're like, I fucking feel like I'm going to die today. Like I can't even see how I'm going to get through this. Okay. Because chemo is likely to give you that kind of feeling sometimes too. That doesn't mean you're not being positive. That doesn't mean you're being fucking real, right? You've done You've done the Happy to Whole retreat, right?
Yeah.
So own that and be with that. Now, here's the value of that, babe. And I've, so many conversations with Bronwyn, for example, and David Nomchong around their experiences. So I can't relate. Okay. And I feel selfish to say it, but I'm so glad I can't relate, right?
Yeah.
Your life, as sad as it fucking is, the silver lining in it for me personally is just the perspective it offers me on my life, on just how fucking grateful I can be. Fuck, to not have to deal with what you're dealing with, like it's just too much, right? So the plan to die, the prepare to die, plan to live is so powerful, because what it means is this: it helps you get to the bottom of what's really in you emotionally, right? And I remember saying this to my best friend Lisa when her husband died, just before he died, and I was so fucking angry at him that he didn't listen. He died like 2 weeks later, and I even took him the video camera and everything to try to do something, because I had 3-year-old and 6-year-old. But it's that. This is what David Nomchong said. He had 5 or 6 failed bone marrow transplants, and then they put him on this special. Then he had like another 4 stem cell failures on this new research they were doing at the time, and it got to the point where the doctor basically said to him, hey, like, we can't do any more. Your body's not even going to take it. If you're alive in 90 days, we'll try again. But in the meantime, go home and be with your family and, do what you need to do. Long story short, he sat in the car at that appointment, and he had this moment where, like, he fucking broke, and he tells this whole story about what he called all his energy back into his body and all this stuff. And he had a miraculous healing. Like a month later, went for results, and like they couldn't even find a trace of anything. Like they ran the bone marrow transplant, the bone marrow test fucking multiple times because they couldn't believe it was gone, right? Anyway, he said that moment came down to where you find your power. And this is what Bronwyn has reiterated as well, is when you go through the process of preparing to die, you hit a level within yourself that does one of 2 things. Number one, if you were to die, because you don't get to choose. Like, cancer or no cancer, none of us get to choose what day we leave here. That's the deal's already done on that, right? And so if you are to die, if the worst case scenario was to come for you, right, at a time where you wish it didn't, at least you die with some level of peace that you've ticked all the boxes you would have wanted to tick, letters you want to leave behind, videos you want to record, messages to your children, things like that, right? Because you can't change the outcome anyway, so you may as well put yourself in that position. Now, here's what he said. In that process, so then he said, you plan to live, prepare to die, but expect to live. So he booked holidays, like next year we're going to Bali. I'm going to have to fucking be alive for next year. Otherwise I can't get to Bali and I've already booked the flights, this kind of thing. He would do things like this in his life all the time, right? And he said, what saved me wasn't being positive and pretending. What saved me was letting myself go to the moment where I'm writing a letter for my daughter on her wedding day because I won't be there, where I'm writing a letter to my son on this day for this thing in his life because I won't be there. And when I let myself go to that level of realness, it opened my heart more than any experience ever could. And he talks about his book and everything, but like basically that's where he did this miraculous healing, right? Because whatever lessons he needed, whatever the cancer was coming to teach. I remember when you first got diagnosed and there was like an intuitive feeling in you that somehow your purpose is wrapped up in this, right? And I know you might feel a long way from that feeling right now, and that's okay. Okay. But that feeling that you had when you sent me that message was not something random. It wasn't just some passing moment, before your brain had a chance to kick in and get afraid of, all of the things. Like your soul was there speaking to you on whatever level. Okay. Yeah. I feel like, you really felt that, right? So first of all, because this leads into how you help the kids. Okay. If you can have the courage to go to where you need to go in any given day, in whatever you are feeling in that day, and to live that experience, to not deny the experience, to not resist the experience, and to go into it with intentions to extract whatever amount of wisdom, whatever lessons there is, whatever expansion there is for you to extract from it, then regardless of the outcome, which on some level, when I say you can't change, like when we're called, right? What are your beliefs around death in that regard?
Pretty much a bit of everything, I think. Like there's lots of different things. Like I believe that our soul goes somewhere. And I think, you've made me think that we do come back. We continue to learn lessons and stuff like that. So I don't know what I believe 100%, but I do believe.
Do you believe that on any level that like we don't really get to choose when it like when your numbers up, it's up type thing? Is that really a belief of yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's help you align this whole process with that belief. Like at the end of the day, when
I've never really thought about it, to be honest, but
good. And some of that might just be because you're not there. Some of that might be avoidance. Some of it might be, I deeply actually, like, even though my mind can get me scared sometimes, I deeply have a belief that I truly am. This is just part of the story. This is just part of the journey. And therefore it's not even necessary to consider that, right? All of those things are valid. Okay. But let's say if at a very least you believe that you have a personal belief that when your number's up, it's up, no matter who you are. If you don't die from cancer, you die from fucking getting hit by a bus in the most random way, right? If it's up, it's up. If that's really what you believe, then if you can really like sit in that, you'll find a peace with that, even just by going, at the end of the day, I don't get to decide on that. That is not of my making. That's up to God. That's up to the universe. That is not of my making. Okay. And that was the deal that I signed, my soul contract, before I chose to come here. That was the deal. This is the day you come back, right? For example, okay, with your soul group or God or whatever you believe. Okay. Now I'm saying that because it allows you to live in such authenticity, such congruency that helps you, that helps your children to find some kind of security in such an insecure situation. And whenever you speak to them, the energetics of your conversation are not going to be conflicting with what's actually coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm going to be real with you, even though this is a hard topic to talk about, but, hard or not, the principles, we don't get to fucking play around with life's principles and make them suit us where it's convenient. The bottom line is what will fuck your children up the rest of their fucking lives, whether you die now, whether you die when you're fucking 90, what fucks us all up and teaches us that we can't trust life is when somebody was trying to make us feel not let us worry to the point where they basically fucking lied to us or didn't tell us how sick they were or didn't really give me an understanding. And then all of a sudden, fucking, I got told you were sick on this day and then this day you died. And I could have had all that time to prepare for that, right? So we've got to balance. You don't also want to create an anxiety in them where they're like, does that mean I can die? Does that mean that? Like, who can die? Like, oh, I didn't know people can die. Does that mean you'll die? And create an anxiety. So we want to find a balance where at the end of the day, like, death is part of the deal here, okay? That is like, we signed up for that, right? All of us. And we all, every single one of us, gets our chance to go to whatever you call it, gets our chance to go to heaven. Every single one of us has our chance to die one day. And you can say it however. Now, I'm going to say something about kids, right? What will really, really help children in the process of death, whether it's a fucking goldfish, a dog, or, you know, a grandma or whatever, right? Someone close, is it really helps them. And this is why, even though I personally, I had a bad experience, as most of you know, being raised as a Catholic, I had nothing but a lifetime of bad experiences with that. And so I decided at an early age that if these people in my life represent this God guy they talk about, then he's fucked. I don't even like the fucking guy, because if you guys represent him, then he's a dickhead. That was like, I grew up with that attitude, right? Because you're all hypocrites and you're all this and all that. And that was my experience. So even though in my early stages of having my children, where I very much was not in my awakening stage at all, right? I'm still very much in my ego and my identity and all that kind of stuff. Right from word go, I did teach my children about a God, right? And I would use that name because even though I didn't really believe fully what I was saying at that time, right? I had to go through a journey before I, was brought back to where I needed to be to rebuild my relationship with my God, right? With who God is to me, okay? Now, I'm saying that to you because it very much helps children that if and when something dies, and it will, an animal, a person, a friend, whatever, people and things die, it's negligent of us to give them no preparation for death. And what really helps them is believing and knowing that if you were to leave here, or if my cat was to die, or my goldfish dies, or whatever, that it's gone somewhere. It's not just gone, it's gone somewhere, and someone's looking after it. Like someone's looking after my mum. Like my mum's okay because she's being looked after. Or my grandpa is okay because, he's with God now. Or my dog has gone to heaven, and that's where the angels look after everything. So my dog gets to be with angels, right? This helps children identify with something that provides a safety and a security for them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys already have any beliefs like that in your life? I can't remember. Do your kids?
Yeah, we do, because like our dog passed away and he went to heaven, up with all the other animals and the angels and God, and yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And do your kids? They go to Christian school? Do they learn about God? Do they have any concept?
No, they don't. But we do talk about it sometimes. Like they'll ask questions, and I'll just say similar to what you've sort of said. Like
perfect. Yeah, excellent. Okay, cool. So talk a lot about this, okay, and about God, and just start bringing, before you drop a bombshell on them and tell them, that you're going to get sick. Because even when it comes time for you to start chemo and then you start getting sick, like I don't know how aggressive the chemo will be, and whether you'll lose your hair or not, or whether you'll be vomiting and bedridden for days or whatever. When you know that, tell me and we can go to the next stage, okay? But let's just do bite-sized pieces at a time. Because the other thing you want to be careful of when you talk about death with animals or people or whatever is you don't want to say, for example, grandma's very sick, or the dog's very sick and had to go to heaven, because it makes children scared when they get sick. Does that mean I'll go to heaven? And if I see you with a cold, does that mean you're going to go to heaven? And, it can, depending on the child and how, whatever, right? So you don't, if you're going to talk about being sick, because you don't want to pretend that you're not, okay?
Yeah. And
they're going to see it anyway, so you better not fucking lie to them. And when they say, Mummy, are you okay? You better not swallow your feelings and go, no, it's okay, darling, Mummy's okay. No, look, Mummy's happy. Do not do that, right? You know what? Thank you for noticing. Mummy's heart is really hurting right now. Mummy actually feels a little bit scared right now, and I love that your heart can feel my heart. Thank you. Do you know what actually really helps me when I feel really scared and sad? Your cuddles. Like, could we sit together? Because your cuddles are like medicine to me. And anything that's sick in my body, I can feel all the love come from you, right? And that so definitely be real with them if ever they say, are you okay? Mummy, why are you sad? Okay, please do not. What fucks them up is being turned off their intuition, where they're like, oh, I felt like something wasn't right. You don't seem right to me. But then you tell me you're fine. And I trust you more than I trust myself. So what I'm feeling must be wrong because you're the hero and you're right. So what I felt must be wrong. And I learn over time to not listen to that. Yep. Make sense? Okay. So number one, be real. I want you to just bring the concept of like, just even to start with, like, not that you're going to really be talking to your kids about death up front, but I think it's really good for you to just like get, you've talked, that when the subconscious mind is exposed to something often enough, it becomes familiar, and familiarity makes us feel safe. Mm-hmm. That's your mind and their mind. And I do not want you to disregard that your worst case scenario is death. Okay. Please have the courage to go, hey, like we all face death any day potentially, but the reality for me right now is fucking right there. Okay, that's a real possibility, right? Like as a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
When you can acknowledge that with absolute brutal honesty, that's the wholeness journey where your soul can then also just as deeply and just as brutally receive and honor the truth that might also not be true, and that this could just be part of my story, and that I can fucking live beyond this, and that I get to choose what happens to my body, and I get to choose the life that my body, and I can create miracles because I am a miracle, and that the intelligence that created all of us is also the intelligence that can heal all of us. And I just need to remember that there is an intelligence inside me that is smarter than any doctor, than any medicine, than any medical history. There's an intelligence of life itself that courses through my veins. Yeah?
Yeah.
But to be able to deeply believe that, instead of kidding yourself and trying to make it feel positive, your ability to fully embody that is going to rely on your ability to also fully embody the wholeness, both ends of the polarity. How far you're willing to go this way will determine how far the ball can swing back that way. If you want to be able to fully embody the absolute truth of being able to fucking beat this no matter what odds you're up against at any point in this process, then you have to also be able to go, hey, my worst case scenario is that I die sooner than I expected. And if that was the case, what would I need to have done to feel like it's okay for me to go? Because I can't change it. The only thing I can change is the peace I feel with it. And that is all. And that will come across to your children. Okay. So right now, I think the first step is, when do you have to start chemo, babe?
They want me to be fully recovered from surgery. So probably not for between 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Excellent. Cool. Brilliant. Right. So for the next 2 weeks, just like anything, like, oh, did you guys see that dead bird on the road? Oh, that poor little bird. He must have gone, like anything that you can like bring up the topic of just the idea of death, or, anyone you know about or something like that. And then you want to get into like conversations where there's openings. I'm just giving you some things to look out for because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And you're better to not sit them down and do it lecture style, just like naturally put it in, especially when they're not confronted, like when they're in the back of the car seat and you're just driving and there's no attachment and, it's just like a little passing comment. Did you see that poor little bird? I wonder how he died. Sometimes we die because our bodies get so sick. So they have a special kind of sickness that it can't get fixed from, but lots of sicknesses we can get sick from. Sometimes it's because we have an accident. Sometimes our bodies get broken. Sometimes it's just our turn to go to heaven, and everyone gets their turn. One day you'll get your turn. One day I'll get my turn. Grandma, daddy, this, like name like your teacher, like name like 50 people or 10 people. And in that, you'll have your turn one day, I'll have my turn one day, this person will, and that people close, people far from you, people close, people far, like just bring it in and bring it out, bring it in and bring it out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just to be like, that's the deal. Oh, why do we have to die one day, mummy? Well, that was the deal. When we told the angels, the angel group, when God, made us and sent us to earth, he said, hey, the deal is that one day heaven is going to need you back, because we're going to need the most special angel on the planet. And the only angel that can help heaven that day will be you. And so the deal is that if I let you go to heaven, if I let you go to earth, and if I let you have a life, and if I let you have a husband and some children and some friends and blah, 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 the deal is, the promise we make each other is that when I say it's time for you to come back because heaven needs you to be the angel that can help that day, that's the deal. And that's the promise we all made with God. So when my best friend's husband died, that was the analogy I used with their 6-year-old that day. And they hadn't really prepared her for that really at all. So it kind of all happened in the hours leading up to him. But even though it was a last minute thing because of how it all happened, she felt so special. Yes, sad, but so special that of all the people on the planet, the only angel that could do what heaven needed was your daddy today. He was the one that got picked to be the one that heaven needed that day. And so, it just gave her something that she could find that, was some kind of good about it, and put some kind of purpose to it, and that confirmed that her daddy went somewhere, and that he's okay because he was the special one that got chosen, right? And so it was more about where he was going, not where he had left. And she would talk about that, and it allowed her to have a way to speak about her dad not being here, which helped her brain become familiar and helped her healing process. So you don't have to go down that right now, right? You're not dying. You're facing what you're facing. But when you talk about, that little birdie died, and look at this little caterpillar, he died, and just like anything, right? Even the leaf, look at this leaf has died on mummy's plant, it's gone all brown, it didn't get what it needed, and the leaf got sick, and the leaf died, whatever, anything. Just bring in these concepts, okay? Because it will give them some framework when they see you sick. Okay. And they're like, I've seen you sick before, but I've not seen you this sick. And their brains will go to are you going to die, mummy, anyway? Right. It's like these words come out of kids because we know where we came from, and we all know instinctively where we go when we're done here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want you to have them prepared. So just bring in the concept of it, sickness, death, whatever. And of course, you're not going to have a conversation with them about death, but we need to have their minds so seated and so familiar that if and when they got scared over you losing your hair or you getting, I don't know what kind of chemo you're going to have, but let's say worst case scenario, then that's going to be scary and confronting. And the more that their minds can be ready for that. I think we'll talk about how you have that conversation with them, not now. I don't even think you should even consume your mind with that right now.
Okay.
Because how you have that conversation really does depend on the kind of chemo treatment you're going to get and how, my dad had a very aggressive form of chemo treatment, didn't lose a single hair. And he's just some fucking kind of out of this world robot. And I don't even know how he wasn't so much sicker. He looked sick, but he wasn't vomiting all day, every day and whatever. So what we thought wasn't even the case, So until we know what kind of program, if you're going to get it every fortnight, if you're going to have to go into hospital all day one day, or if it's, once a week or once a fortnight or once a month, I don't know. When you know that and what the likely side effects are and all that, that's when we need to know how you have a conversation with them so that we can prepare them for what is going to be their reality.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
For now, all I would say is, especially in these early stages, let yourself, you'll find it easier now than you will later, prepare to die and plan to live. You do both those things. You expect to live, but in case you got hit by a bus tomorrow, right? Just have the things done that you feel like you need done, that you won't sit there regretting not having done, hating yourself for knowing this day might have come and still not preparing for it. Okay?
Yeah.
hard stuff. Okay. But you know what? I went through this 2 weeks ago myself, not from dying, but it was Amani's 16th birthday. And I gave her as a present this book that has all these envelopes in it. And I had to write, it was like 18 different letters. And it says like open when you experience your first heartbreak, open when you need inspiration, open when you need courage. And then on all these letters, like I wrote my heart to her. And as I wrote them, so that I could access the deepest message my heart could ever have in case I'm not there that day, whether it's because she's living in Norway where she wants to move next year with her boyfriend because that's where he's from, and I'm on the other side of the world and I can't be there, or whether I'm actually not here, right? One was like open on your birthday, and I wrote a letter that she could open every year on her birthday and feel like whether I'm there or not, she's heard from her mum, right? And that she could get my advice on all of life situations. And I did that from the perspective of like, if I was not here to say these words and I've only got one page to say it and I can't waste a word, what would I want her to know? Yeah. And it's fucking powerful. That was her birthday present. That was one of her birthday presents. And I took photos of all the letters so that I've got copies. And, you know, I've got those, I've had those books. I bought those books like 4 years, at least, I reckon before the day, 4 years ago. And they've been sitting in my bottom bloody sock drawer because I wanted, I don't know, was never pulled to write them. And I want to give one, I've got 3 of them, so I can do one for each girl, but I want it to be so specific to that girl, because the way that I would give each child motivation or inspiration or what I would say to them on their birthday is so different according to who they are, right? It's not the same message. Because Miami receives inspiration differently to how Baya does and differently to how Amani does, for example. So I've literally just lived this process without having to face the idea of being sick, thank goodness for me. But I can tell you it's just powerful. And it took me a week because I went through a lot of healing and imagining if I'm not here and like, fuck, I would read it back to myself and be like, I literally felt like I wasn't here. I literally can imagine her fucking reading that and I'm not there to like hug her, to hold her, to tell her, whatever. So it really was powerful. Okay, so it's a message to everybody. And if you want some inspiration, babe, it's also very therapeutic for you to process your shit. And I know, babe, there's not going to be many people in your life that can hold this kind of space for you, that can let you go to these feelings, because they're going to feel so fucking uncomfortable themselves that they just want to tell you, we believe in you and you're going to be fine. You're going to fight this. And I believe you fucking will, by the way. But I'm not going to hold you to that fucking standard so that on days where you don't feel like you're there, you feel alone. I won't do that. And if you want help, I mean, I'm happy to send you all the letters I wrote Amani if you want. I've taken photos of them all. I can put them all up if you want some inspiration or anything like that. But in the program, in the parenting program, the last video of the whole program is the parenting manifesto. Even if you don't go and watch that video. I made that video 8 years ago, and actually somebody sent it to me today and she's like, fuck, you've made me cry today. And then she sent me a screenshot of the parenting manifesto. So go back into the program and just listen to that every day. It's like, it goes for a little while, 8 or 9 minutes. It's like my whole entire soul's, my being's turned into words for my children. It's like my prayer for their life. And I wrote it 8 years ago. And if I read it again, like it's literally over here in the shelf here, I know exactly where it is. And if I read it again, I cry as much as the day that I wrote it. But that's also another place that you can connect to why you need to live, why you need to believe much bigger than any fucking doctor or any fucking medical system will ever fucking let you believe. Okay. It gives you reason to, just see yourself differently, and to also, you need to find peace in this process. Otherwise, it will feed the cancer. Okay. Stress creates an acidic environment, and cancer feeds on stress. You need to alkalize the fuck out of your body. Okay. With food and everything. Hard to say that when you're going to take chemo, that acidifies the fuck out of everything. But obviously, it has its place, and it's, doing what it needs to do. yeah, you need to find peace somewhere in this, even if that means the only way to find peace is to find peace with death. I don't care how you find peace. We go through the process to get you to some level of peace, okay? Because that's the only place that your body can receive instructions that it's all okay and that it has the ability to breathe life back into itself, and for the magic that created you to be the magic that recreates you, that recreates whatever part of your body needs to be recreated. Okay. Don't rush, babe. Don't rush. Just sit with that, babe. Don't pull out of it. Go into it even deeper. Stay with it.
Thanks, Holly.
I'm sorry, babe.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Ah. Ah.
Yep. And I know you've got all the plans to come to the women's circle. Unless you're fucking in hospital, like, I don't care how sick you are, you need to come that day, okay?
Yeah, I'll be there, definitely.
If there's any way that you can control the day that you start chemo, let it be the day after that.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
You need that space and you need to let us hold you. And this women's circle is specifically about being a mother. It's not just about being a woman. It's specifically about being a mother. And if there's anything you need to connect with, it's that. Because the pain of feeling like your children lose you. I remember thinking when I first had children that, like, I would almost prefer that one of them die than I die, only because I would prefer that I deal with the pain than they deal with the pain of, like, losing me. I'm like, I'd rather deal with the pain. And yeah, it's the biggest thing that'll save you is letting yourself go to the place where you can imagine your children losing you, and letting that fucking crack something open inside you that would never have been cracked open without that kind of pain. Okay. Yeah. I'm so sorry, babe. Lean on us, okay?
Thank you.
Clarity manifesto, writing, journaling, even write your speech as though what you'd say to the kids, for example. Write it today, write it again next week, change it again the week after, however many fucking times, doesn't matter. Write it out. You're like, I don't even know what to say and I don't want to fuck it up. So I'm going to write it. I'm going to read it to them. That's how they're going to find out. Like, whatever. Just, like, let yourself process this. Because, yeah, resistance kills, babe. So please just don't resist. Just the pain, the worst thoughts, the worst case scenarios, the whole thing. Please don't spiritually bypass and just try to be so positive that you don't acknowledge the part of yourself that needs to be seen. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Love you, babe.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing in this space. You're so fucking brave.
All right. I'll speak.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I accidentally just pressed mute, but thank you, darling. Sorry. I didn't mean to press it. All right. Some bone broth. That's cool. Yeah, it was Amani's 16th present. Sarah, I just gave it to her 2 weeks ago as one of her presents. Make sure I didn't get this. Yeah, Elle, this conversation would absolutely help you more than anything. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Oh, thank you, Marlon. Gosh, I love you people. Look at this group. All right, not many groups you'll find that kind of courage and conversation in anywhere on the planet. All right, so let's Elle, I'm going to come to you, and then is Melanie? Oh yeah, Mel's here tonight. Cool. It's you and Mel, and then we're done. So let me find you. I can't find you on my screen. Oh yeah, hello Elle, how are you?
All right.
Cool. So, yep, you got earphones in. Cool. I was just about to say, can I talk freely? So I know you said, so basically your son is 3 this is just for people watching the replay, almost 3 at the end of September. And basically you want to be able to get rid of the dummy. You've got so close before and then it, got sidetracked and whatever. And for those of you that want to read the details, you can go to today's date and you can read Elle's, I know you said, oh, sorry, this is going to be long, but it actually really helps, right? So thank you for that, for taking the time that you do to write it out so much. It does help, especially with your situations like this, so that I know what you've already tried, what already hasn't worked, things like that. Okay, here's lots of things I've easily picked out of that, okay? And the answers for you in terms of how do we get him to do this? First of all, there's a huge pattern in all of that you're people pleasing your son, right? So, and you've shared before very openly and transparently that you've been a people pleaser. By the way, fucking biggest high five on the planet for what you put in the soul parenting group yesterday about your mum. Like I hope you really sat and had a moment with yourself about the changes in you and you've been in this program 2 months or something. So amazing. So when you people please, when you're trying to find ways to do what you want to do, but without pleasing them, without upsetting them, without giving them permission to have their own process and to have their own feelings, it creates insecurity. So he is feeling, the reason he's controlling the shit out of you and everything you do and everything you say, and he's got an answer for everything, and he makes some bloody good points too, right? What a legend. But is because he is insecure with your decision. Your decision has no resolve behind it, right? And resolve is where children find their certainty. Your resolve feeds their certainty. That certainty feeds their security and therefore their safety. You with me? And he needs to feel safe in this decision. That it's okay to not have the dummy. And by the way, it's also okay to feel really sad and really disappointed and like you wish you could have it back, for example. So your first step is you need to make a decision. And now I think the points you make are valid, like you said about, you don't want to be dealing with, sleepless nights and tantrums and stuff by his birthday party, which is a few days after his birthday. So I would also highly encourage and suggest that you don't do it on a child's birthday, right? Don't fucking give them trauma the day they have a birthday. So I'd support that. When you're 3, how many sleeps after you're 3? What about 20 sleeps? Should we do 20 sleeps or 25 sleeps? Give him 2 choices, whatever, which both suit you. You got to make your decision first before he's even ever got the space to find what decision feels right for him. Yeah? Because he'll find his security and his certainty off you finding yours first. So don't do it on the day of his birthday. I totally agree with that. Then you mentioned, obviously, you're coming to Happy to Hold retreat at the end of October, which is only like a month after his birthday. And that will be one of the first times, if not the first time or whatever, that you will be away from him and he'll be away from you for a good 3 days, 4 days by the time you actually get home, right? And see him. By the time you get home that night, he'll be in bed, right? So, yeah. And I think that's also something for you to consider. At the same time, I also have no doubt whatsoever that 1 whole month, I mean, literally fucking 7 to 10 days will be enough for him to fully move through this and have no issue by the time you go to the retreat. That is, every ounce of probability is in that, unless You feed the insecurity and, oh, I don't know if we should have done this, and maybe we've done it too soon, and I don't really know, maybe we should just give it back to him. If you're like that, he's going to fucking struggle for a month or however long you're like that. If you're solid and it's done and it's dusted and he had a role in the decision and it felt right for you, and somewhere in that he had some power, then that's going to change everything. If you don't want to line yourself up, because I know you've also shared that, you've had some of your own challenges with anxieties and insecurities and needing to control things and whatever. And so if that's all feeling like too much for you, that is okay, babe. That is okay. Fucking, you can decide to give it to Santa at the fucking shops when he comes on the 1st of November or something, if you really want. I don't know. Like, I don't care how long you wait. It's not my child. It's not my life. It's yours. That's a decision you need to make. It doesn't even matter whether he's 3 or 3 and 3 months or whatever. It doesn't matter. It matters that you make a decision that firstly is right for you, so that you can be resolved and you can be strong. And then once you've got your resolve, you then create a scenario where he can find his resolve. He can't find what you can't offer. Does it make sense? That's the majority of your problem right now. When he says all these pretty clever comments about, first of all, I want to say the word no is a complete sentence. Okay. You do not need to have answers to all of those questions he asks, right? You do not. Because, no, can I have it back? Or, and I think you're giving him too many choices and too much control, and that's a burden to him. You heard me talk about this with Alexis, with Michael a few weeks ago. I think I remember you putting some comments in that night. But when you give him too many choices, for example, you know what, I have your dummy. And then he goes, yeah, but I want it. You're like, okay then. Well, what about just 5 minutes? And then he has it for 5 minutes. But then he still doesn't give it back. Then he gets to choose where he puts it. But then he puts it in that spot. But then later he goes and sneaks it. All of these things are like, it's a lot for a 3-year-old, but not even 3-year-old, right? It needs to be, no, if the deal right now, so you need to find resolve right this second, immediately on this call. It's not even a process. It's a moment, right, that you choose to have, which is whatever decisions you've made right now. For example, right now we've got deals on the dummy. The deal is you only get it at sleep time. That's the deal. Like, find your resolve. Like, let him help you find more resolve in him being uncomfortable before he doesn't fucking have it at all. Because you'll ruin his trust for you for life if you actually pretend you've thrown it away and given it to the fairies or whatever you do, and then somehow it gets too much for you to deal with and he gets it back. He just learns, I can't trust you. Like, your word means nothing. Does that make sense? And that's not healthy, right? So if right now you only have it at bedtime and he's got this silky thing, this other, like, like bedtime thing. Yeah, Teddy. Yeah, great. So that's great. So what you want to do is be strong first on the rules you've already got. No, like, Mummy, can I have it right now? No, is it bad? Don't say no. Even to say, I've done a video in the video archives called like how to say no without saying no. Right? You could probably even search it in the group, might come up. How to say no without saying no. There's so many ways to say the word no or to say no without saying the word no, so that when their brain hears the word no, it goes instantly into expectation, instantly into the loop of disappointment, powerlessness. I can't have what I want. The word no is associated with those experiences. So the word no sends them straight there. They don't even hear the rest of your sentence, right? But there's ways to say no without using the word no, so that you can give them the answer of a no without their brain diverting through to that little feedback loop when they hear the word no. Yeah. So go and watch that. There's lots of different ideas in that. What was I going to say? I made a note on your thing. Just let me have a look here. I remember you said something. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So when he says, when it's not a time where he can have the dummy, he's asking for it. Like, so you make it, like, when do we have the dummy? We have it at bedtime. Okay. Is it bedtime right now? Now, I know you said that he'll pretend that he wants to go lay down and go to sleep, right? And then you can say, no, it's not sleep time yet. We go to sleep at 2:00 or, whatever. No, when it's bedtime, yes, you can have it. So when he says, can I have it? When it's bedtime, you can. Absolutely. Right? You just basically said yes, but you also said no, not now. without
Yeah.
saying no, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different ways. Like it's got it all in that video. The other example, the other thing you want to do is tell him what.
Dummy's in bed waiting.
You know, like when you said something about how he just wants to chew on something sometimes, and he just wants it in his mouth. And so when you feel like he's doing it for those sensory tactile reasons, and you still want to eventually take the dummy from him, the thing is, he can still suck on other things, right? So you say, then you tell him, no, you can't have the dummy, but what you can have is you can have this, or you can eat this, or you know what, you can go get your teddy and chew on the leg if you want to. You can chew on his ear if you want to. Obviously, make sure there's nothing dangerous and a nose that he can swallow or something like that, of course. So you want to be able to tell him what he can do, because as you know, it's hard to break a habit, right? And it's easier to replace a behavior than it is to delete a behavior. So instead of expecting him to just not have the dummy, we want to go, okay, to not have the dummy, we're going to replace it with this. So give him the teddy, but you can have your teddy, right? And then if he nags and nags, the other thing is like asked and answered. Like that's another thing. Look it up in the group. There's a video on it. It's called Asked and Answered. When you
I think I recently watched that one.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, it's more of a tantrum than asking for it.
Right. And that's you already know, you already said it yourself. That's your thing. That's not even about him. That's all about you. You're improving so much at the moment. You're coming to the retreat. So if you feel like you don't want to do this to yourself right now, great. Give yourself permission to focus like fuck on yourself until the retreat or whatever date you give yourself, and then deal with the dummy the next month. It's not the end of the world. But in the meantime, like teach him he can trust your word, and let him have his own experiences with some uncomfortable emotions. It's unfair of us to not let our children experience some uncomfortable emotions, because life is full of them and we're just not preparing them. So instead of feeling like you're unfair and you're a bad mum, or that feeling of guilt because I've upset him, choose the perspective of, if I let him have this right now, that would make me a bad mum, because if you want to call yourself a bad mum, I'm saying in terms of like not actually a bad mum, but you feel guilty, like, oh, I can't believe I've done this to him. So I've got two choices. I either hurt him by hurting his feelings, or I hurt him by not preparing him for life, by letting him ever believe that his emotions aren't okay and that he should be saved by all of his emotions, right? And that and if it's you that does this all the time and you save him from his emotions, that builds his relationship with women. Like, fuck being his wife or his girlfriend one day, right? We know what it's like when the men in our life fucking need us to be like their mums and we feel like we've got an extra child, right? Come on. It's fucking real. And that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah? So you've got to have resolve. He will find his security in your resolve. Practice it with the decisions you've already made now. Just practice that. And don't put more burden on yourself to make a new decision and do that at the same time. Get firm. Get resolved. Be resolute on the decisions you've made and the agreements that you've made. And you can remind him of that. And when the answer is no, you can't have it, then tell him what he can do. He needs a green light.
Yeah, I think I remember all of that stuff. I think it's more I think he finds it in places and then he just puts it in, and it's taking it from him in those moments.
Oh, that was my other thing.
Yeah.
When I said he's got too many decisions and too much control here and it's burdening him, that was one. When sleep time is done, he doesn't get to choose. Sometimes you get choices, sometimes you don't. In life, there's three things, right? I've talked about this a lot. There's things we have to do, things you choose to do, and things you get to do. Those are privileges, okay? This is one of the things you just have to. The deal is you don't get to choose what happens to that dummy when you're not using it. You get to have it. You get it. It's a privilege. You get to have it when it's bedtime. And when you wake up, it is gone. It's gone. You don't get access to it. That's actually a bit cruel. That's like expecting a 3-year-old mind to actually know how to resist temptation. Like, we can't resist fucking chocolate when we tell ourselves we're not having sugar for a week or something. Like, that's fucking hard. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost cruel to like tantalize him, like to just like torment him with it, if that makes sense. his brain needs to know there's no point even thinking about the dummy because I can't even get to it. Like it'll build an association that there's no point thinking about how much I want my dummy because I can't have it. And he'll learn that real quick because he won't like the feelings that he gets either when he's disappointed and can't have it. And so he'll soon work out and his brain will adapt. They are adaptable creatures until we get in the way and stop them from adapting. They are naturally resilient creatures until we jump in and fucking save them from every lesson. Yeah? Our children are naturally resilient and adaptable. We program them out of it by the way we try to fix them and save them and, you know, give them a false sense of security about how life is something that feels so happy all the time. Yeah? So be a bit harsh with yourself on that.
Would it be better for me to just have it, try and find them all and have them not be anywhere to find, or have him put it somewhere that's like,
nah,
you know,
he doesn't put it. He gives it to you. He can see where you put it. I mean, unless you think he might climb the cupboards and hurt himself or something. You give it to me. Thank you. And you can even say, thank you for keeping your word. Thank you for honoring your agreement. You've got so much integrity. I know you love this dummy, but because we've agreed, I love that you hand it over to me and you keep your word. You can put like lessons of integrity and self-honoring and keeping your word and all that in there and give him some appreciative praise. And then once you take it, he doesn't need to know where it goes. Look, if it doesn't matter, but I wouldn't even tempt a 3-year-old that is this kind of, like you said, a bit addicted to it. Okay. Just you take it. Thank you. And he doesn't even know where it goes. It's just gone after that. You can put it in 10 different spots, but yes, find them all, take them all, make the agreement with him. Hey, remember, Mummy, when you my dummy? Hey, when do we have our dummies? You do get to have your dummy. When do we get to have it? When do we agree? So you're always focusing on when he does get to have it, not that he can't. Hey, when do you get it? When is it okay to have the dummy? When I go to sleep. Okay. Are you going to sleep right now? No. Okay. So I'll keep it until you go to sleep and then you can have it. So all his brain heard was, I get to have it and you'll give it to me when I can have it. And I didn't even hear that I can't have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll change massively. And then when you've made your decision and you're ready to go through a week of some uncomfortable stuff, I'd probably definitely, suggest to do it after the retreat. If you don't have another reason to hurry up with it, it doesn't matter that he turns 3 in September. Like,
it's
a month later,
pathologist, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Look, if there's reasons like that and you need to do it quick, well, then make a decision. And in that case, I'd say if you want to go down that road, then you need to find your resolve real quick to help him, because it does need to be taken from him either right now, so he's got a week to get through it before he's even 3, or after his birthday party. The night of his birthday party is the last time he gets dummy, for example, something like that. And you've got time to do it before you have to, come to the retreat. But you've got to make your decision first.
And if other people are looking after him, I need to get them to do the same thing as well, like for everybody.
Like Nazi on that. Yeah, that will be. Tell them, appeal to their guilt. Tell them it's going to be, please, you need to understand, it will be so unfair on him if you give him his dummy, no matter how much of a secret Nana's got or fucking whatever, it's going to be cruel on him if you let him have it. And when he gets home tonight, fucking it's gone. Like, it's not fair. Don't do it to him. So make them feel like they'd be doing something wrong to him by giving it, rather than, this can just be between us and you can just have it for 5 minutes and don't tell mummy. And those things are cute that sometimes our parents do with our kids and whatever, but put guilt on them about how hard they're going to make it for him if they do it.
Yep.
Okay. And let them wear the guilt. Okay.
Yeah.
And the minute you stop feeling guilty, the minute you stop fucking feeling sorry for him and projecting your own insecurities onto him, he'll fucking handle this like a boss.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, darling. Good. Yeah, there you go, Lib. Yeah. Look in the I'm gonna quickly go to the next question so we can wrap it up. But yes, Libby, exactly. Yep, you've been your dummy, so you can't change your mind. Like, you can't even tempt yourself to fucking give it back. So yeah. There's a few comments there for you, Elle. All right. Mel, your turn, darling. How are you? And yours, I remember your daughter. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. really simple. This, and I want you to, it might be even a 2-week answer, because I feel like if she needs more than this and you're not sure how to navigate, like I know you're quite a conscious parent already and you might find your own way to navigate after this, what I'm going to give you. But if not, to help you navigate further, I need you to come back with me with a response to this, right? Around, you said, she's just recently quit her competitive gymnastics and, now she's spending a lot of time in her bedroom on her iPad and just, not really like interacting and connecting, and that you think she needs to exercise. And I agree, and it's not for weight or to be fit, it's just for health, right? It's not healthy to be so isolated and secluded and to not move our bodies, right? And so let me just read the last thing. There was something you said here. One sec. However, that's right. She's anxious to go somewhere new, and chickens out. Okay. So what I want you to do, what I believe the conversation needs to be that you have with her, and I know you're pretty good at having some deep conversations, is it needs to be, hey, first of all, you say, hey, can we talk later? Can we talk tonight? Don't walk in and spring it on her. So, hey, there's something I'd really love to chat to you about. Can we talk about it after dinner tonight? Or can we talk about it on the weekend? Let her know it's coming before it's here, right? And give her that. And if she goes, what's it about? What's it about? Go, oh, look, you're not in trouble. Nothing's wrong. There's just something I want to talk. I'm not going to talk about it because we'll get in the conversation. Let's just leave it. Just don't worry. So that she can be like, you want to leave her in the space of I wonder what this is about, and let her brain, so only ideally do it with 1 day's notice. Don't say on Monday, let's talk on the weekend, right? Because you'll bloody give her anxiety all week, right? But it's okay for a few hours or something like that, or 1 day for her brain probably will go to the worst case scenario. So it'll be maybe you want to talk about this, maybe it's this, and maybe she will get a little bit of anxiety around it, right? Let that be okay, because what happens is when her mind naturally prepares for the worst, it feels so fucking easy to talk about this. This is so easy compared to what I had in mind. So no worries, let's talk about this. Is easy. You'll get some communication from her because it's so much easier than what she had set herself up for. Yeah, so it's a bit of a mind hack, right? But for the right reasons. Now, the question you ask her is, how can I help you? Okay, so that's essentially the undertone of your question. How can I help you? How can I support you in being able to, do some exercise? How can I help you to find something that feels enjoyable that's not in your bedroom? So you might not necessarily have to talk about to go and do exercise, but you might talk about just, to get out of the house. And then you remind her who she is, right? So say to her, listen, I fully support the choices you want to make in your own life. Your life is yours and you get to choose what you do with it. But here's something I know about you. I know who you are. I know who your heart is. You've always been someone that loves to be competitive, or that loves to exercise, that loves to win, that loves to compete, that loves to push herself, that loves to test her limits. And I know that's part of who you are. So it doesn't matter that you're not doing gymnastics, but what matters at the moment is that I see you in a space where you just aren't really being who you really are, because I know that in you, there's the person that loves to be healthy, that loves to move, that loves to test her limits, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just wondering, what it is I could do that could help or support you in any way to feel, whether it be motivated, inspired, or even disciplined, to just get out of your room. Yes, you're not doing gymnastics anymore, and that's okay. That's your choice. But in place of that, I'm sure that you'll agree with me, based on who I know you are, that it's probably not the healthiest thing to do nothing but be in your room all the time. So what could we do, or what could I help you and support you in doing that would allow you to still not do gym, still not do competition, still just be by yourself if that's what you want, but in a more healthier way? Just sometimes.
Yeah, we have sort of talked about it a few times already and said, what you've just said. I know you're very active and it's good. You produce all the endorphins and, the happy hormones, that sort of thing. And she's quite keen to try something. And she knows she wants to, for example, try out volleyball and maybe some martial arts. So we rocked up at martial arts last week, and then she just absolutely froze.
Yeah.
They were really good to her. They went up to her, didn't push her in any way. And she just said, I want to go. I want to leave.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I got her
In
to
those-
actually
in those
stay, and we
moments-
just watched.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then we left.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we had a bit of a chat after about it, as much as she allows me to, because that's the other problem. She doesn't like, firstly, she doesn't want to think in any way.
Yeah, I get that.
And she doesn't like me to ask any questions. She calls me her psychologist.
Yeah.
And
So when
so
let's
then
say when
she is anxious, and she can't really put her finger on it what it is.
Mhm.
And I given her, actually prompted her as well, and so then asked, so like, I know you've done gymnastics for such a long time, that was sort of your identity, and is it that you might feel you're not good enough? Are you afraid that others might laugh at you? Are you, what is it that you're afraid of?
That's gonna make it worse for her when you ask her
Okay.
questions, because she probably doesn't know the answers, and it's also okay to not know why. I feel like this.
Okay.
Maybe I'm scared. Maybe I think I'm not worthy. Maybe all those things are possibilities. But when you ask her a question that she doesn't know how to answer, it just absolutely proves to her and gives her more evidence that she's as dumb as she thinks she is. Okay. And that something must be wrong with her, because how the fuck can I answer one single question, right? Anything you ask me, I just don't know, right? And that kind of just deepens the pattern and the habit of avoiding you, and even ever being in a position where you could potentially ask me stuff. It's not that I don't want you to ask me stuff, it's that when you ask me stuff, I don't have my answer. I don't know myself. And all that does is remind me that I don't know myself, and that I'm dumb and I'm stupid. And so that's the feeling I don't like, which is why I want to avoid the comment. It's not really the question. It's how I end up feeling when I can't answer the question, right? So
so just backing off altogether with asking questions when she can't answer.
Not fully. So for example, because the more evidence that she collects that proves that she's not good enough, or that she's, gets anxiety or whatever, the more she's going to literally identify with that belief. So for example, if she let's say if she wants to try a new sport and she goes along like the other day to martial arts, and then she doesn't want to do it when she gets there, right? She's 13. It is absolutely probably even going to be empowering for you to say to her quite firmly, hey, you remember who you are. You're scared. Yes, I've seen you on the gym floor. I've seen you in competitions. This right now, this is not who you are. You get out there and you train. You train for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes of putting in an effort, of showing up for yourself, you want to leave, I will leave. But I will not let you quit on yourself, and I will not let you believe that this is who you are. So you show up and you be who I know you are. You go stand over there, and in 10 minutes, you have my word, we will leave. But you show yourself what you're capable of first. Sometimes you got to pick your moments. You don't want to do that all the time. You don't want to make it be like a force. It's more like a I believe in you type of feeling, without saying I believe in you, because in that moment it'll feel condescending. Hey, forget what I believe. What do you believe? You know yourself. Look what you've done with your life. Look how many times you've been in situations that felt a bit scary, that felt a bit nerve-wracking. You realize you had the judge that you don't like. You realize you were up against a girl, and you still went out on that floor and you still performed. You get in touch with that part of yourself and you go show up, babe. Something like that. But not all the time, but you've got to pick your moments, right? Instead of like, oh, okay, like I'll sit here with you and then you can decide and then we'll go, or I'll give you a lecture, you could do with some endorphins, and those things are true and those things are valid. But that's what makes her feel like you're being a psychologist to her, right? What she needs from you is to be her mum, not her psychologist, right? And I know you only have intentions to help. So my other suggestions are to say to her, we'll just for now, just for 2 weeks, let's just stop trying to go somewhere. Let's go for a walk together. I'm going for a walk. You going to come? Cool. Let's go together. I don't care. Wear your headphones. I don't care if you got headphones on and we don't talk. Just be next to her, walk with her, don't judge her, let her have her headphones, let her listen to music while she's walking. She'll probably want to listen to something, right? Just let her move her body in a way where there's nothing to face and there's no possibility of failure, because all I was doing was going for a walk, and I went for a walk, right? And it doesn't even, how long you're going for? I don't know, till I feel like turning around, till you say you're ready to turn around, whatever, let's just go. There's no plan. Just like, don't even let her have like something that she can prove that if I don't do that, if I don't do the whole lot, that means I'm dumb or stupid, or that I fail, or that, I'm not who I used to be, or whatever. So just get movement happening first, just the experience of where she can then notice, and you can gently point out, like, not like, and I told you so. See, look how good you feel. Your whole mood's changed now that you went. See, I told you exercise is good for you. Not like that. Just go, hey, you seem in an awesome mood right now. Hello, whatever. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for how you were tonight. It was beautiful to go for a walk for you. And I don't know if you noticed, but I certainly noticed that, you seem to feel a bit different. You definitely weren't in your room as long as you'd normally be. So it was really nice to have you hang out in the lounge room a bit tonight. And let her link. Yeah, it actually does. Like, anytime I do go for a walk, anytime I do some exercise, I actually notice I feel better. I don't get told by you that I'm always feeling better and that's why I should do more of it, right? Let her draw those conclusions. You can use your descriptive praise and appreciative praise, which you learn in the program, right? For just what has happened. Just describe, hey, just wanted to say before I said goodnight, hey, I'm going to bed now. I just wanted to pop my head in and say, it was so nice to have you hanging out, even though it was only 10 minutes. It was so nice to have you hang out after dinner instead of eating and going straight back to your bedroom. That's it. Just something like that. Just point out something like descriptive praise-wise or appreciative praise only. So you're not adding your opinion to it. You're not adding advice to it. Help her build just a positive association with how she feels that she builds herself. And then once she knows it feels good, and that in itself, as you know, endorphins, like how to give yourself a good daily dose, right? DOSE, dopamine, oxytocins, serotonin, and endorphins, right? And so when she goes and, has her walk or whatever, she will notice. She will notice. She's not dumb. And then maybe look at some other sports or something like that. When she says, I think I want to try volleyball. Cool. Let's go. Let's make an agreement. We go, no matter what, you show up, you make a decision after the lesson, whether you go back again. But we go and we do this session. After, you can make a new decision. You can say, I'm never going back again. No worries. I will honor whatever you say. But let's show up first. Yeah?
Yeah, I try. I think I just neck too much sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
In terms of
I think we've talked about
asking
that
another
before,
question, because I want her to think for herself, and I
but
can
then you don't
feel
let
and
her.
sense
But you
it's
don't let
not
her have a.
working.
You don't let it because you're not letting her think for herself. You don't want her to think for herself. You want her to think like you. You want her to have your thoughts. She is thinking for herself. The thoughts that what she's doing, those are her thoughts. But you don't like them. So you want her to think your thoughts. And unless she thinks your thoughts, you think she doesn't think for herself because her thoughts are not yours. Harsh, but true. Yeah. And every time you try to help her with a thought, your intentions are beautiful. I know how deeply she matters to you, and how, raising her the best you can is such a high priority for you. But every time you give her a thought, all you've subconsciously said to her is, your thoughts are dumb. You can't think for yourself. I'll need to give you advice because I don't even believe you know how to think for yourself. That's the subconscious message in it's not what you intend. Absolutely, I know that. I absolutely know that. But that's what she hears. Have you done the program? How much of the program have you done? How much of the actual videos in the online portal have you done?
I watched them all.
Okay, beautiful. So, I think it's in the third, it's definitely in the third pillar, conflict, connection, and communication, under words that work, right? And in all of the videos, there's like when you click on words that work, there's like 5 or 6 videos there. And it says, here's what we say. Here's what we meant to actually say, but here's what they actually heard, right? It wasn't what we said, but it's what they received. That's what's playing out here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's you are really brave. Like, I know you're someone that, is willing to look at yourself. And like you said, you volunteer the information in terms of, I know I probably do this and I know I probably do that. So, I mean, you really want to help her. You need to work on that stuff in yourself. Is it an option for you to come to Happy to Whole, to the retreat at the end of October?
Yeah,
It's not going to feel
what you often
comfortable.
hear.
It won't feel comfortable now or any other time. So the question isn't, do you feel comfortable? The question is it an
I
option?
feel comfortable. That's not the issue. I think the thing is more, I'm sort of hoping to maybe go and visit my family back in Germany that I haven't done for several years. And that's so bloody expensive that I don't, it's
Sure.
another.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And that's high on your value.
So I would love those to do those things. I'm open for it, absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's where, or if not my retreat, just average something like that anywhere with anyone, like wherever, that's where it's like what you're saying about her. It's like you're saying, well, you need to exercise and like you need to go and do this and that so that you can be healthy. It's like I can say, well, you need to exercise your emotions. You need to work on your wounds. You need to look at your filters. You need to look at where this is coming from in you and what the message is. It's the same kind of principle. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can see for her what she needs. I can see for you what you need. And if she would just exercise, she'd feel better and be better. And if you would do this work, everything would be better and do better. It's the same principle. So confronting, but what in parenting isn't confronting, right? But that's what I would suggest to you, because I think we've spoken a few times about, just like how what plays out for you accidentally with the best intentions on the planet, like keep your intentions forever, but we need to change so that it doesn't come from a wounded space. And it's coming from a wounded space because you look at the things in her that you can't accept in yourself, and you don't want her to turn out like you or to have experiences like you might have had, or some kind of you don't want her to ever be that person or whatever, because you're looking out for her greater good, 100%. Okay. But that is exactly what forces you to project that exact fear onto her. It's all a really big projection. The parts of yourself that you don't like, you want to try to get rid of them out of her, or help her never be in those positions, which is great. That's a great mom, wanting more for her child than she ever had for herself. That's beautiful. When it comes from a centered space rather than a wounded space, the whole energetics of the relationship shift. And she's 13. And if you don't stop parenting her, like, parenting's done. Like, we parent our kids until they're about 10, 11. After that, we just guide them. They find themselves, and all we have to do is trust them with their own life. And if we've stuffed up along the way, we can go back and fix some things 100%. But you don't get to tell her what to do anymore. She's 13. This is where she learns to find her own life and who she is. And she'll learn who she is by first finding who she's not. And that's going to be really fucking uncomfortable for you. Like it was for Nicole. When her daughter stopped going to school and, started making all the bad choices, and Nicole was caught up in, she's going to fucking ruin her life. She's never going to have opportunities. She's never going to have a job. If she quits school now, she'll never make anything of herself. If she needed to just get out the way and let Ella J find her place. And Ella J is thriving with autism, thriving as a 15-year-old, not at school, about to start her own business, doing eyelashes, something she's passionate about. But there were 2 years of Nicole, whose number one value in life is education. She's the only person in her family that ever got an education. She's also a teacher. So education is like the highest value that she lives through. And she had a daughter that didn't care for an education. Hard. But her relationship with her daughter now is unbreakable. And her daughter didn't fuck her life up. And her daughter has probably got more opportunities that will open for her than what would have ever had going through the school system. Yeah.
Do you have any other advice how to find a bit more out? What's behind all that for myself?
You don't
For
need to
example, if I
know.
can't go to the retreat, I'm trying to figure it out. But
For
I
yourself,
sort
you
of feel
mean?
I still,
You mean like for
yes,
your wounds?
yeah,
The soul parenting program.
yeah. I was
That's
thinking
only
about it.
$1,000. That's only $1,000. You got lifetime access. It's got a lot of homework in it. It's got a lot of deep work. It's the deepest work that I will ever do with someone without it being in person. Beyond that, you got to be in person, because I'm not prepared to take you to places if I'm not there to help you come out of it, right? But it's very deep. It's very confronting. You'll probably start it and then avoid it for a while, and then it'll be in your mind for a month, and then you'll go back to it, and then you'll watch the first video and you'll be like, fuck, that's why I didn't come back to this. It's confronting. It's deep work.
Mm.
But there, Casey said it's a life changer, the soul program. Shara's saying the same. Soul was amazing. And then now she's doing the retreat. Shara's coming to the retreat. Yeah. So that's the deepest work that's like having me as a personal coach. The closest thing you can get to me being your personal coach, 12 hours of me, I think there is, 15 hours of me in that program without paying $1,000 a session or $40,000 a year for private coaching. That's the deepest I can do online.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's pretty cheap. Like if I totally get going home is a priority too. I respect that. And, I can't relate to what it's like to not live near family and all those things. So, I certainly don't want to tell you what to do with your life. Yeah. That's another good idea, Shara. And Mel, it's a really good idea. The conscious community. Are you in the conscious community? I can't remember. That's only $24 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you are, aren't you? Did you just join last month? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So the conscious community. Yeah.
Yes, I'm in that, yeah.
So show up to that, like make sure you're on those calls. They're only once a month or twice a month if you include the Zoom call. Twice a month, show up live. Don't tell yourself, oh, I'll just watch the replay. Because A, you never do. No one does. And B, even
I
if
watch
you do,
them actually a lot.
do you? You're amazing. That's good. But you can't engage. You're not in the space, right? You can't ask a question. You can't go that layer deeper. So I love that you watch it. Good on you. Not many people do that. So good on you. I mean, normally the people who watch the replays are the people that were already on it live and they know what was on it and they want to go back and rewatch it or something. But yeah, I love that for you. So if you're disciplined enough to do that, just, I would say go a step further. Arrange your life, stop wanting life to be perfectly convenient and go, you know what, I'll go to the inconvenience and once a month I'm going to start getting on these live. That would help. Just being in that environment like this, right? You can't get as much value out of a Zoom call from this parenting program watching the replay as you can if you're on here live. It's not the same. It doesn't mean you can't get great value, don't get me wrong, but you can always get more when you're on the call. So I would say put yourself in those environments, build connections. When you watch a replay, you can't build friends with anyone that's on that call. When you're there and you're in the comments and everyone's having a chat about whatever we're talking about all down, like you get to be involved in that and make new connections and things like that and, make new friends and then reach out to them and things. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities that I think everyone misses when you don't do things live. It's just like a cheap way for you to do something. But I would say soul parenting will take you to some deep layers. Deep.
Okay. No worries. We do that.
Thank you. No worries, darling. Absolutely. I love how brave you are and how real I can be with you. And I think your daughter is just a reflection of the wounds that she's calling probably the whole ancestral line to. And if you can lean in and do that work and stop trying to change her and instead change yourself to be able to hold a different space for her, these problems will all dissolve and she'll find who she is. And when she finds who she is, she will own the shit out of her life. Okay. Yep. Let her be lost. Okay. It's okay to be lost. She's got 2 or 3 years she could be completely lost for and still create an amazing life. You can stuff up until you're freaking 17, 18, 20. And then at 20, you have a moment and you change your life. And by the time you're 30, you got more than the person who fucking went to university. It's got nothing to do with, you know,
Mhm.
really. This if ever this is going to happen in her life, perfect time for it to happen. 13 to 15. Under your wing, at home, safe, no big deal. It really isn't, other than the programmed belief that, you know, we think things are big deals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You've supported her well so far. Okay. So, you know, with the whole schooling issue and stuff with her dad and you and her dad being different and all those conversations we've had before. So you'll do this. Yeah. I'm really feeling soul parenting for you, something like that. Okay. And because especially if I know you do the work, like if you are someone that actually watches videos in your own time, if you know you'll do that, then soul parenting. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No worries, darling. All right. All right, beautiful people. I'm going to close up for the night. I will see you next week. Thank you to all of you for whether you've hung up already and you're watching this replay or whether you're here for holding that space for Ebony. Okay, like vibrationally, she needed to feel held, and regardless of what I said, that would have done more for her than anything I had to offer. Okay, so thank you for being here and creating this safe space for people to feel safe enough to show up the way that they do. I certainly couldn't create a community by myself. It's communities are created by communities. So thank you for your contribution to that. Okay. Good night, beautiful people. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight.